Good evening, everyone. It's about 6:02, so we're going to get started with tonight's virtual relaunch for the Greater Detroit Agency for the Blind and Visually Impaired. We're so excited to have everyone with us this evening. We're going to start with a video that's just going to give us a bit of an overview about blindness and vision impairment and global eye health.
Healthy vision and eyes are something we take for granted. But nearly all of us will experience poor eye health during our lives. Today, 1.1 billion people around the world are living with vision impairment that has not been addressed. And there are hundreds of millions more who need ongoing eye care throughout their lives. 8 out of 10 people in need of eye care live in low and middle income countries. And many of those with vision loss cannot access the eye health services they need. Vision impairment has a huge economic impact. The estimated annual productivity loss is equivalent to 411 billion US dollars. That's nearly twice the GDP of New Zealand. Poor eye health can impede learning, working, caring for others, reduce overall health and well-being, and can lead to lower life expectancy. These challenges have far-reaching effects on the world's development. And as more of us live longer, the problem is only going to get bigger. Fortunately, solutions exist. In fact, up to 90% of vision impairment could be prevented or treated with existing, highly cost-effective interventions. Yet services are under-resourced and least accessible to those that need them most. We need to work together to increase investment in eye care. Governments need to include eye care within their health systems, plans, and policies, providing comprehensive services that put people and communities at the center of care through health promotion, prevention, treatment, and rehabilitation, and by reducing the impact of vision loss by creating inclusive and accessible environments. Collectively, we can help to deliver better eye health for all, while benefiting individuals and nations economically, and advancing sustainable development. Now is the time for action, to unlock the power of eye health for all.
Okay, thank you. Thank you all for your patience and for joining us this evening. We are going to get started with the presentation. We had hoped to have, we had hoped to have remarks from our new board chair, Tom Stevens. However, he's unfortunately is unable to be with us today. We learned kind of at the last minute. So I'll bring just a couple of remarks from the Board of Trustees. Tom is our new board chair. He has been in place since December. And I will tell you that it has been a joy working with our new board chair today. The board is extremely supportive of the direction of the agency, of the staff at the agency, and the direction that we'd like to take with the agency, and that is always wonderful and always welcome. He is committed to building a strong board that is inclusive, that is diverse, not just in terms of the way a lot of people think of diversity in terms of age and sex and gender and those types of things, but also in terms of perspective, community partnerships, collaborations, allies, and where we can take our strengths, as we were listening to in this video, where we can take some of our power and our strength in the future to help make the world more equitable and to increase vision health. So he's not able to be with us today, but we are really excited to move forward with the board's new direction and with the support of the board. So with that, I will go ahead and say hello. I am Stephanie Worth. I'm the new executive director at the agency and so excited to be here. It has been a whirlwind 4 months since my arrival. Wonderful staff, wonderful community partners, wonderful outreach to date. I appreciate everyone who has reached out to the agency, bringing your ideas, bringing your innovations, bringing your concerns and your questions, and helping us to reach today's point, which is our relaunch. So we're Really excited to be here. And we really felt it was important to have a public relaunch of sorts to give people a reassurance that the agency is still here. The agency is still committed to its mission of providing services and programs that build independence and dignity for individuals who are blind and who have visual impairments. So we wanted to make this a very public occasion. And again, we thank all of you for joining us. I also want to give a couple of particular thank yous at the moment. I'd like to say thank you to a bunch of high schoolers in the National Honor Society at Loyola High School who recently conducted a fundraiser for us. On our behalf, it was Jamel Frazier. He is the son of John Frazier, who was a longtime volunteer for the agency, led our blind bingo activities, and passed away a few months ago. So Jamel rallied his classmates in the National Honor Society. They had a 3-on-3 basketball tournament a couple of weeks ago, and they raised $210 for the agency. So we are immensely grateful for their passion and for their support of Jamel at this difficult time in his life. And also want to thank the Detroit Area Agency on Aging, which recently awarded us $30,000 for our work in partnership for vision services. So we are immensely grateful for this great start in our relaunch to those two individuals and for others who are supporting us as well. So just a little bit about myself. I come to the agency with about 35 years of nonprofit experience. Most of it has been in Southeast Michigan, working with marginalized and underserved populations, particularly in health. I've worked with United Way, the American Diabetes Association, the American Heart Association, and the Sickle Cell Association of Michigan, all of those organizations having an intersection with vision health. So I didn't realize it until I came here and until this job arose that all of those things kind of coincided and give me a very unique perspective on the work that's ahead of us. So really excited to be here, looking forward to bringing you great things tonight. I'm honored and pleased to have with us Margot Siegel, who's going to bring us some information on dealing with vision loss. We have Gary Horton, who's going to talk with us about career opportunities related to visual impairment. We have Malika English over there. She's a staff person at the agency, and Priscilla is also a staff person at the agency. And we have LaWanda Jackson and Fran Dennis joining us from Molina Healthcare. So many thanks to everybody who is joining us today. And so I'm going to hand it over at the moment to Malika to introduce herself and her work at the agency.
Hi, everyone. I'm Malika English. Many of you may know me. I've been at the agency a long time, since I was a teenager, so probably like 16, 17 years now. But I'm the office manager, so I'm normally the first person you'll see when you come in, or usually the first person you'll talk to on the phone. And I'm just excited that things are starting back rolling and just ready to serve the community. First starting working here, I didn't know much about blindness, but over the years, you know, that knowledge have grown, and my love for the blind community have grown. And I'm just looking forward to working and serving you guys and starting back services. And that's it, Stephanie. Back to you.
Thank you, Malika. We're going to turn it over to Priscilla for an introduction.
Hello, everyone. My name is Priscilla Miley, and I am a certified vision rehab therapist. Some of you all may know me. I have taught some of you all in the past. I've been working in the field of blindness for about 14 years, and I started working at Greater Detroit in October of 2019, just a few months before the pandemic hit. Some of the things that I'm responsible for is providing programs and activities for the blind and visually impaired. I will be teaching classes and daily living skills and technology, and just being there for people. I want to be there to be a mentor, for people to if you have any questions or just want to talk, sometimes you just need somebody to talk to about going through vision loss. And so that's what I am there for. I love what I do. I love the agency. I love the direction that we're going in. We're going into a new direction, but I think it's going to be really good and really addressing the needs of people in the blind community, but not only the blindness issue, but just issues as dealing with life as a whole. You know, we know that it's just as a person, you're not blind. You're not blind first. You're a person first, and then you have other things in your life. You may be blind, but you're also a mother, a father, an aunt, an uncle. You have to take care of the household. You have to cook, clean. So there's other things that you have to do, and other things that you like to do, recreational skills. So we want to address all those things that involve taking care of yourself. So that's what I do, and I love what I do. And I hope that you all will continue to be a part of Great Detroit. And any ideas that you have, please let us know, and we can see what we can do with those ideas. Thank you, and I'm passing the torch back to Stephanie.
Thank you, Priscilla. So the video that we started with alluded to the number that 90% of vision loss is either preventable or treatable through current methods. And I've been struck by several things since my arrival at the agency. I mentioned earlier that I've just had a lot of intersection in other health concerns and how they all intersect vision. And you don't always realize that, to Priscilla's point, until you're in that moment, working for the 5 years at the Diabetes Association and seeing the individuals who were struck with, diabetic retinopathy. I can, again, at the Heart Association and talking with on a daily basis individuals who had a stroke and then lost their vision as a result. I also am the mom of a 25-year-old with sickle cell. And so sickle cell retinopathy and the possibility of sickle cell retinopathy has always been something that we've dealt with since he was a toddler. And to see, individuals dealing with that is very striking. So it moves your empathy meter, but on the other hand, I'm very compelled to act. So we talk a lot at the agency, we have a lot of ideas, but we are really compelled to act and to make a difference. And to Priscilla's point about looking at the whole person approach is one that we're really lifting up in our future work at the agency. So whether that is on the physical health side, the mental health side, the social, emotional side, we are really looking at all those pieces for individuals at this point in time. And some of the statistics that most struck me, there's one in particular from the CDC that recognizes approximately 80 million people in the country right now have a health condition that will cause them to lose their vision or to become totally blind at some point in time. And when you do the math on 80 million people in the country right now, that breaks down to about 1 in 4 people in the country right now have a condition that can cause them to lose or fully lose their eyesight. And again, much of this is preventable when you look at things like diabetes and stroke, which very often is caused by high blood pressure or heart disease. Heart disease is 80% preventable. And so most people don't realize that is the truth, but it is 80% preventable. But again, there are social determinants of health that very often impact people's ability to access healthcare, to access healthy food, to access vision care. So we are also putting an emphasis on some of the other things that we can be doing to help individuals preserve their vision along the way. So I wanted to share with you along that note this video from the American Heart Association, which talks about their Life Simple 7 premise, which is 7 simple factors that impact health and your quality of life.
Hello, I'm Nurse Alice of Healthy Living, and I'm here to share with you ways in which you can check, change, and control your heart health using American Heart Association's Life Simple 7. 7 simple things that you can do to live a happier and healthier life. Tip number 1, get active. Living an active life is one of the most rewarding gifts that you can give yourself and those you love. Simply put, daily physical activity increases your length and quality of life. If you can get at least 30 minutes of moderate physical activity each day, 5 times per week, you can almost guarantee yourself a healthier and more satisfying life while reducing your risk for heart disease, stroke, and diabetes. Tip number 2, control your cholesterol. When you control your cholesterol, you're giving your arteries the best chance to remain clear of blockages. These blockages lead to heart disease and stroke. Lowering your cholesterol helps your whole body get adequate blood flow and keeps your circulatory organs functioning well. Tip number 3, eat better. A good offense is an even better defense. A healthy diet is one of your best strategies for fighting off cardiovascular disease. Make sure to eat foods that are low in saturated and trans fats, cholesterol, sodium, and added sugars. Eat plenty of fresh fruits and veggies, lean meats, and foods high in whole grain fiber. Also, stay away from sugary drinks and soda and drink plenty of water. Tip number 4, manage your blood pressure. High blood pressure is the single most significant risk factor for heart disease. When your blood pressure stays within healthy ranges, you reduce the strain on your heart, arteries, and kidneys, which keeps you healthier and for much longer. Tip number 5, lose weight. More than 2/3 of the American adult population is overweight, with 1/3 in the obese category. Losing weight can reduce your risk of heart disease. Even losing as few as 5 to 10 pounds can produce a dramatic blood pressure reduction. Tip number 6, reduce your blood sugar. Normal blood sugar levels can help protect your vital organs. When you reduce excessive sugars, you're giving yourself the best chance for a healthy life. Make sure to get screened for diabetes and to manage your blood sugar levels. And finally, tip number 7, stop smoking. Cigarette smokers have a higher risk of developing cardiovascular disease. If you smoke, quitting is the best thing that you can do for your health. Smoking is our nation's top cause of early death. One day at a time, 1 hour at a time, you can learn to replace your craving for cigarettes with healthier options. It's never too late to get help and to quit smoking. So, there you have it. American Heart Association's Life Simple 7. 7 simple things that you can do to live a happier and healthier life. I'm Nurse Alice, and this is how you can check, change, and control your heart health.
Again, we wanted to share some prevention tips with you because we do understand the high level of preventability of several impacts on vision health. And along those lines, one of the new offerings that we'll be having at the agency are regular speaker series presentations from physicians and other individuals in community who can shed light on things like heart health, vision health on a monthly basis, fireworks safety, eye health prevention in sports, things like that. So we're going to invite you all to our upcoming speaker series. We're also going to be having a speaker series related to disability issues. So whether that's an IEB plan in a child's school, whether that's accommodations in your workplace, whether that's housing rights, how to access other justice, means of justice, what are some of the voting rights that individuals have. This is a very important year for voting. We want to make sure that elections are accessible. So we'll be having a speaker series this year as well, in addition to our other programming. And we invite everyone to participate in that again, as well as our whole person approach on the socio-emotional piece of losing vision and blindness. We've invited Margot Siegel here tonight to speak with us on that issue, kind of transitioning through vision loss and dealing with vision loss and supporting those who are on that journey. So I'm going to turn it over to Margot to speak now.
Can you hear me okay? Wonderful, wonderful. I'm going to set my timer because Stephanie said I need to set my timer. So I'm going to do that right now. Hi, everyone. It's wonderful to be here with all of you this evening. I just want to thank Stephanie for including me in the reopening of the agency. It's very, very exciting, and I feel honored to be a part of it. Let me take a minute and just describe myself. I'm a 64-year-old Caucasian female. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. I'm 5'7" with brown eyes and dark, short, wavy hair. And people have described my face and tone of voice as friendly and calm. Also, before we begin, I wanted to offer my condolences to anyone who has lost a family member or friend to COVID. It's really been a challenging time for the world, to say the least, and I want to send my positive support, my heart, and my love out to you. The information I'll be presenting tonight is based on research findings, academic training, and years of work experience. As some of you may know, I'm a licensed clinical social worker, psychotherapist, and former TCVI. I've been so fortunate to have worked within the VI community for over 32 years, and tonight I'll be sharing with you some information about mental health issues that are sometimes found in people who are coping with vision loss. Now, I say sometimes because not everyone with vision loss develops mental health issues, but many do, like the individuals who I see in my office. And I want to share with you a few quotes of people before they have started their counseling. Here's the first person. She said, "The thought of blindness was terrifying. There was an initial panic and constant worry." Another person said, "I woke up every morning with fear, not knowing how much vision I would have for the day. The sad part was that suddenly, and for the first time in my life, I had no desire to make any effort to help myself. I was sinking slowly down into the gloom, expecting nothing. I became scared and confused." Another person said, "I felt depressed, frustrated, and anxious all the time. My blindness made me feel angry and lonely." So researchers have determined that there are specific factors that influence how well someone will adjust to his or her vision loss, and that's where I'd like to begin. There's several factors of adjustment, and I'm going to just list the ones that I feel are most prevalent, and my colleagues do. The age at which vision loss occurred. Another factor is the degree of vision loss. In other words, the spectrum. We all know that we have everything from partial vision, stable partial vision, progressive or unstable, blindness, and everything in between. Another factor is the coping strategies that the person has learned and utilized, or do they not really have any coping strategies and need to learn some? What about the preconceived notions of blindness that people have, or the individual's personality before the loss? You know, as a professional counselor, you know, I'm looking for, has this person had other challenges in their life, and how resilient are they? How did they manage it? And how will they manage this? Another factor is the attitudes of family and friends, and even, to be quite honest with you, medical staff. And then, of course, societal values, or I like to say sometimes misconceptions of blindness or of someone with low vision or partial vision. So many of you may have heard of this book entitled Self-Esteem and Adjusting with Blindness by Tuttle and Tuttle. If you don't have it, I would highly recommend you get it or listen to it or read it. Tuttle and Tuttle share 7 phases of adjustment to vision loss that they believe people go through. And I use this in my practice with every one of my clients. I don't have time tonight to go into full detail, but I will just list them here for you. The first phase is the trauma phase, perhaps when the person first hears the initial news of vision loss from a medical staff person. They may be, what hit me? They might be in shock, which leads to phase 2, which is shock and denial. I call this mental numbness, where the person is just, they can't believe it's happening to them. They almost have an unrealistic thought that maybe a miracle might happen to bring their vision back. Phase 3 is mourning and withdrawal. The person really starts to isolate from others. There's a sadness and even at times outbursts of anger. Phase 4, succumbing and depression. The person pretty much will hit rock bottom. They'll say, I can't live my life this way. There's discouragement. There may even be some suicidal ideation at this point. But then when the person hits phase 5, 6, and 7, phase 5, there's a reassessment and a reaffirmation that the person's life is not over. It's kind of a turning point in the phases. The person understands that they may just have to do things differently, but their life can go on. Phase 6, coping and mobilization. The individual will start focusing on their strengths and have more of a positive attitude. They'll be open to trying new skills and new techniques. And this is where we call upon our outstanding vision rehab people to come in and start working with individuals who are at this stage in their adjustment. And then phase 7 is self-acceptance and self-esteem. The person begins to just really like themselves. They don't question, why did this happen to me? Why did I have to have vision loss? They're accepting their strengths along with their limitations, and there's a bit of a self-approval there. Now, people don't often just go through the 7 stages like that. There's back and forth as people adjust, and it takes people different times of adjustment. So I don't think you can generalize that someone's going to whip through those phases and be just fine. It does take some time, and it is a process. So what are the types of mental health issues that are found both in children and adults, although it may present differently? The research supports 4 specific mental health issues: depression, anxiety, PTSD or post-traumatic stress disorder, and an extension of grief and loss that is not the normal grief and loss that we perhaps go through when we lose a loved one, but this goes on consistently, perhaps for months or even years on end. So what does the depression research say? It says that people, and Stephanie touched on this, people suffering from vision loss are twice as likely to suffer from depression as the general population, twice as likely. And by far, the most common psychological comorbidity of vision loss, meaning that it happens at the same time, is depression. Depression can interfere with a person's ability to function, and yet in too many cases, depression related to vision loss goes untreated. And the reason for that is when someone is depressed, it's very hard for them to ask for help or learn new skills because they would much rather stay in bed and pull the covers over their heads. So that's where we need to be aware of triggers and symptoms that people are having. I don't have enough time today to go through that, but that's very important for all of us in whatever capacity we serve within the VI community to be able to recognize that. Now, the anxiety research is related to more of the anticipation of future vision loss or blindness. I call this anticipatory anxiety. In addition to people experiencing phobic or phobia anxieties, such as fear of open spaces, traveling in crowded areas, and even being left alone. Loss of vision is one of the most feared reactions of the elderly and the aging. And I'm going to touch base on the senior population in just one second. So what specifically are the challenges for adults with vision loss that may lead to seeking out counseling? Well, loss of employment or a change of career, loss of income before they're able to learn the new skills that they're going to need. The amount of reading printed materials in our society, that's overwhelming to people when they lose that aspect of their being able to read printed materials. Driving, losing freedom and independence and not being able to drive again, and basically just a change in daily activities and decrease in social life. Now, for older adults or seniors, in addition to what I just mentioned, they also have or may have additional health issues. They may be dealing with death of a spouse or close friends, cognitive changes, or even feeling that they need to be very dependent on others, which causes a lot of sadness and depression and anxiety. And I don't want to forget about our military personnel. They many times have immediate ocular injuries or brain injuries, war trauma, and many times they will suffer from PTSD. So now the challenges for children with vision loss that may encourage a parent or a teacher to recommend counseling. Children have to deal with socialization issues in development of peer relationships because they don't have the social cues or the eye contact. They can't pick up on facial expressions. Many times it's difficult for children to develop peer relationships and acceptance by their sighted peers. This sometimes will cause an emotional detachment, and the frustration and anger that children experience may come out in their behaviors. And many times I work with school staff and parents to help them understand that, the behaviors are the child is not purposefully misbehaving. They can't always express verbally how they're feeling, and consequently, it may come out in their behaviors. And then lastly, the children's educational growth and developmental pace obviously is going to be just a little bit slower because they not only have to accomplish all the tasks that their sighted peers have to do, they also have to learn Braille and mobility and independent living skills and whatever else. And this causes an overload of learning for children with visual impairment, many times reinforcing their anxiety. So who can provide mental health services within the communities? Licensed master social workers like myself, or LPCs, licensed professional counselors, life coaches, PhD psychologists, and even psychiatrists. Now, out of that whole list, the psychiatrist is the only one, the MD, he or she is a medical doctor and attended medical school. So they would be the only ones that would be able to prescribe medication in addition to the therapeutic intervention if it was necessary. And what types of therapy are available to people? Individual one-on-one therapy, family dynamic therapy, where you work with the entire family, couples therapy. Sometimes I'll see parents or seniors as couples. One of them has lost their vision and the other senior is helping and being the support person or the caregiver. There's a lot of pressure on both of those individuals, so you might see them together. And then lastly, support groups, which are so very beneficial. And I believe Stephanie is, I hope I'm not giving anything away, but I believe she's working on some beautiful support groups that are going to be introduced at the agency. So just to finish, as I see my time is quickly running out, I just wanted to leave you, whoops, am I still there? I just wanted to leave you with a couple quotes of people that have gone through therapy and gone through those 7 phases of adjustment and have come out to the other side. The first quote, here it is: "Blindness is now normal to me. I do not spend my days feeling sorry for myself. Most days I don't even think about it. Life goes on." Another person said, "One goal that I've accomplished was to advocate better for myself. I do have some visual limitations because of my partial vision, but I can still do a lot when I use my accommodations both at work and at home." And lastly, this person said, "My vision loss made me deal with solving daily challenges. This has made me stronger and more capable. Every day is a new adventure." So on that positive note, I thank you for giving me the time to speak with you today, and I turn it over, I believe, to Priscilla.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I enjoyed that presentation from you, Margot.
Thank you so much.
Hope everyone can hear me. I just wanted to give you some information, some personal information about myself. I am 54 years old. I was born sighted, always had 20/20 vision, never had any vision problems. When I turned 31, I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. And before I was diagnosed with MS, for the first 2 months of being sick, I went through several medical issues. I was partially paralyzed. I was going through muscle spasms, continuous muscle spasms, extreme fatigue, extreme weight loss, problems with walking. Let's see what else. I had nerve irritation in my neck. You know, you couldn't touch my neck would turn hot. Then the last straw was I started losing my eyesight. I went blind in one eye within 2 days. And I was admitted to the hospital, and then that's when they told me I had MS. And so one eye was totally blind and the other eye was very low vision. After finding that out, you know, I was devastated because all I could think of, I'm going to be blind, I'm going to be I won't be able to walk. So I didn't know what to think of. So when I was in the hospital, I thank God for social workers. The social worker asked me, "Do you want help from the Michigan Commission for the Blind or from what's the other one? MRS?" I'm like, well, blindness is the most pressing issue, Commission for the Blind. So I got signed up with the Commission for the Blind, and I received training from vision rehab training from Vision Impaired Services. I was there for 3 months, loved it. I learned so much. I learned the skills so that I could be able to take care of myself, take care of my personal needs. 2 years later, I went for more training at the training center in Kalamazoo, and I stayed there for 6 months and received more intensive training there. After that, I went to school at Western, and I got my master's in rehab teaching of adult blind. And I started working. I did some contract work with the state for a few months, maybe a year, almost a year. And then I started working at Vision Impaired Services. But that's just a short synopsis of the beginning journey of my life as being blind. But I can just remember how when I first lost my eyesight, how I didn't know what I was going to do. I had to learn everything all over again. You know, learning how to, it sounds simple, but pouring a cup of water is not as simple when you can't see. You know, pouring a cup of coffee or eating or anything, just dressing, identifying your clothes, everything I had to learn all over again. And I learned that from getting training, rehab training, first at Vision Impaired Services. So I know how important it is to receive that training because it provided me to be independent. It increased my self-esteem, my dignity as a person, because I can remember one of the challenges. I was so used to it was my first time, I won't say my first time going to church, and my mom wasn't at home. She was at work, so I was gonna get dressed, and the person who's gonna pick me up didn't have to wait for me. I had this wraparound skirt. I could not find the button to button my skirt up. And that was the most embarrassing thing I ever felt. And I just sat down and cried because I can't even put on my skirt. And so I had to wait till somebody get there to help me put on my skirt because I couldn't find the button. So when I went for training, I learned how to take my time and do things and learn how to locate things textually and learn how to pay attention to my other senses. We don't really realize how much we depend on our vision and don't pay attention to our other senses. But I had to learn how to use my other senses. And some people think that when you go blind, your other senses increase. And that's really not the case. They're always the same. It's just that now you're paying more attention to those other senses. So I had to learn those skills and learn how to pay attention to those other senses and learn about different techniques, different equipment that was available for the blind, different resources. And one of the most important things is learning how to laugh at myself, learning that it's okay. You're gonna make mistakes, it's okay. You don't have to be perfect. We all make mistakes and it's okay. And it's still, life can be fun. It doesn't have to be sad. It doesn't have to be depressing. And those are some of the things when I went for training, I learned, and that was one of the most important things, is just learning that I'm still a person. I'm not a person with a handicap, but I'm a person first. And I just have to learn. I had to learn how to do things differently. Like I tell people, I may do things differently. It's not the wrong way. It's just a different way. So those are some of the things that I learned from getting training. So I know that the training that we will provide at Great Detroit is very important and is needed because those are the things that you need in order to be independent, in order to be safe, in order to be able to take care of your needs. You have to be able to take care of your personal needs before you can go on to do anything else. And those are things that we will be providing at Great Detroit. So I just want to talk about some of the activities and programs that we are planning to provide. So the areas that the classes that we will be offering this year, starting the summer, will be activities of daily living. We'll also be offering classes in keyboarding. So keyboarding is, well, first of all, activities of daily living, that's a class where you learn how to take care of your personal needs. That will include, some of the topics will include labeling, and those are techniques on how you can identify things by using your sense of touch, using different equipment, different things like bump dots, Velcro, things that you can touch. We'll be talking about time identification, money identification, learning how to write using different things such as signature guides, medical management, recreational skills. So those are just a few of the topics that we will be talking about. Another class that we'll be presenting is keyboarding. And that's a class we will be teaching you how to learn the keys on your keyboard. So you'll be learning all the keys on your keyboard. So when you want to use a computer, being visually impaired, you have to know the keyboard, because being blind, we don't use a mouse, we use the technology. There is a program on your computer, on your PC, that comes on your computer called Narrator. And that will allow your computer to talk to you. Whatever key you press, it will announce what key that you're pressing. So we'll be teaching people how to use Narrator or JAWS. And you need to know the keyboard in order to continue on how to use your computer. The next class we'll be teaching is called Intermediate Computers. That class will be teaching people how to read their email, access their email, do different things like that, and also learning how to get on the internet. The next class we'll be offering is Advanced Computers. That class will consist of learning your editing commands, learning how to save, create, and locate files, learning how to create folders, and learning how to download. And the last class that we'll be teaching is iPhone class. So we'll be teaching people how to use their iPhone, basic commands on how to use your iPhone using voiceover and magnification. All of these classes will be 3 months long. The activities of daily living class will be taught over the telephone for the first 2 months. The last month will be in person. Each class will meet on Wednesdays for an hour and a half. And like I said, the last month, which will be in August, that will be in person, and that will be at the agency. The intermediate computer class, that will be taught over the telephone. That will be a 3-month class, once a week, meet once a week on Wednesdays from, let me get my time right, from 2 to 3:30, yes. The next class is advanced computer class. And like I said, that class will also be on Wednesdays. That'll be over the telephone for the 3 months. That class will be from 3 to 4:30. So no, 4 to 5:30, I'm sorry. So that would be that class. On Thursdays, the iPhone class, that will meet from 3 to 5:30, 3 to 4:30. And that will be all in person. So that class will be, for those three months, those classes will be in person. So we would like for people to sign up for those classes. In order to sign up for the class, you have to be a client of Grady Detroit. So we will ask that you sign up to be a client, and then you can sign up for classes. The last day to sign up for class will be March the 20th, and classes will begin on June 8th. So that's the classes that we will be having this summer. I'm excited. I hope people will enjoy the class and sign up. I'm looking for feedback. Anything that's not working, let me know so we can tweak the classes. So I'm open for constructive feedback. But I'm really excited, and I hope that you all come enjoy the classes. And if you have any ideas of any other classes or activities, please let us know. You can call us at the number that you can call, the Grady Detroit number is 313-272-3900. So this information will be on our website, and you can also call for more information. So that concludes my session. I would like to introduce Mr. Gary Horton. He is the president of Vanward Consulting, and he's a very excitable person. I love his presentation. I love what he has to say, and I know you will also. So thank you. And Gary Horton, Mr. Horton, you're next.
Thank you. Can you guys hear me? Am I being heard?
Yes.
Uh-oh.
Yes.
Okay, that's good to know. I need feedback. I'm a blind guy. First of all, let me say thank you to Stephanie, definitely to Stephanie and the staff at Greater Detroit for inviting me to speak. I feel honored to speak. I have spent some time at that facility over on the West Side, and I've met a lot of people that are long-term friends and allies. So my focus, I like to also say, Margot and Priscilla, I think you set this up perfectly. I think of life as it relates to blindness as an inside-outside game. And I think what you guys just heard about was the inside game. I'd like to focus my remarks on the outside game. Vanward Consulting Services does a couple of things. We are a technology firm, we are a staffing firm, and we do services and program development around education and employment as a vendor to the Bureau of Services for blind persons. And that's where I'd like to focus today. When you work through those 7 steps, or as you're working through those 7 steps, and as you receive the training that Priscilla's talking about, that, in my opinion, is the inside game. I'm blind, let me figure it out. How am I going to engage? But at the same time, sometimes, often, there is an outside game. And that's what I want to talk about. The outside game is, how do I engage in the world? That is to say, like every other human being that works in America, how do I get up every day and go to a job to make income to help that independence that we're all talking about? So I just wanted to take an opportunity to say that 5 years ago when I lost my vision, I think I kind of filtered through a lot of those 7 steps because I had a mortgage and I had a wife and I had a life, and I wanted to keep that mortgage, life, and wife. So I had to give about the job of figuring out what I was going to do next. The first thing I did is I, looked at some statistics, and when I saw the statistics of employment and income from Social Security, I figured that I had to do something fast. So I went to a bag of tricks that I've used my entire life. I thought of myself as every point in my life, whenever there's been a downturn, I stop, study, figure it out, create a plan, execute the plan. No matter what is going bad in my life at any time in my life about anything, those were the steps that I took. So I went about taking those same steps. And here's the good news. And there is a lot of good news. The opportunity that exists for blind people today that probably didn't exist even 5 years ago does exist now. And there's a couple of factors. The first factor being the sad, horrible COVID-19 pandemic that forced everybody to go home, companies to shut down, people to wear masks. But American business said we still have to keep things moving. So they invented, much to their chagrin, hybrid and remote work. Hybrid and remote work, in my opinion, is one of the most single impactful events that happens in America for people that are blind, as well as people with any disability, because it does take mobility off the table. It also enforces and has corporate America thinking, how do I make this work with employees that could be anywhere in the United States supporting my organization? If you look at it from a blind person's perspective, if you take Uber, Lyft, the pair services, and all the activities that all the thinking has to go into travel, and you take that off the table, that gives you a leg up. Also, if you're a person that has developed those skills, those internal skills that Priscilla's talking about, and the mental toughness that Margot's talking about, you're even better prepared to operate in that environment. So I always look at the silver lining, and for me, the silver lining of pandemic is virtual work. Second, outside of remote and hybrid work, there's been a real push on DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Everybody wants to get equal in the workplace. We were talking earlier in the green room about generational differences. My son is much more concerned about the actions that a company takes outside, in addition to their product. Okay, that being said, there's an opportunity for companies to begin to lean into, if you will, hiring people from different colors, sizes, sexual orientation, ethnic backgrounds, and disabled status. This is a plus. This is an advantage. This is something that if you're thinking, you can take advantage of. And that's a lot of where my focus has been placed in the last 5 years for myself and for the services that are offered to the Bureau. Okay, so that's the opportunity. The opportunity is 30% of the jobs out there right now are hybrid jobs that are being posted. That's a plus for us. Another plus, unemployment is lower than it's been almost my entire adult life and most of you guys' lifetime. So jobs are plentiful, hybrid work and remote work is a thing. These are opportunities. How do you take advantage of those opportunities? Well, in today's landscape, I think there's a gap. Those of you who know me know that I talk about employment day and night, only employment. I acknowledge that there are the inside game going on, but my focus is employment. When you're ready to be employed, What are your chances of being employed, and how might you be employed is what I want to talk about. And I would say that there are two areas to be concerned about, or at least to talk about. One, what is the relationship between Voc Rehab and the hiring managers? Voc Rehab has a focus, they have an expertise, they have a knowledge base, and they're good at some things. One of those things they're not the best at is how to engage corporate America. Usually Voc Rehab and state organizations, they move at a different pace than, let's say, a for-profit company. Voc Rehab and the state organizations talk about compliance. Compliance is important. Accommodations are important. Absolutely. I ask for them all the time. However, is that the language that the employer is going to want to listen to when they're hiring a person? I would argue that the approach to be employed is talk about the value. Talk about what you bring to the table. Priscilla talked about how you begin to develop those skills. Margot talked about how you can express those skills through self-esteem, but you have to sit in a room, write a document, and show up on a Zoom meeting and engage your employer. Lean into your so-called disability. I do it every day. Everyone, all of us on this call have a disability. It's a different type of disability, and we have to overcome it. And blindness is absolutely no difference. And if you approach employment in that way, I think there's an opportunity. If you are a thinker, a reader, if you're in the knowledge businesses, you have an advantage in this environment. If you have worked with your hands your entire life, then that's what Priscilla and some of the other actions that the Bureau does, the Bureau and the Greater Detroit does, that will be helpful to you. But it has to start, as I say, with recognizing where you are, understanding what is missing, and aggressively, with great focus, chasing it. Once you do those things, then you must articulate it. And to the extent that you can, it will be effective. That's the gap. That's not necessarily the lesson you hear from Voc Rehab, with all due respect. They have a focus. I have a focus. My focus is employment. If you want to be employed, you have to walk through, in my opinion, those steps if you want to increase your chances for being employed. I believe organizations like Vanward Consulting Services, and there are others in the country that have the same attitude towards employment, are the type of engagement that a lot of unemployed individuals with visual impairment and any other disability should engage. The other gap, if you are blind or disabled in college, there's a gap. There's a gap between the job placement office and the disabled services office. Oftentimes, those two groups do not talk. That is a gap, because there are absolutely valuable students in every university in the country with a so-called disability that should have access to public sector jobs, private sector jobs, rather. I apologize. So I think the third piece that's important is great independence starts, in change for that matter, starts with corporate America. They're the kings. They make change happen. Picketing helps, voting helps, but at the end of the day, real change does not happen in the United States of America without corporations being behind it. So from my perspective, the more people with so-called disabilities that we can get into the corporate America, into that private sector, working with those, their able cohorts, will then raise up all visually impaired people. It will raise up the vision of people of what is possible in employment. It will allow us, with the digital transformation, to really engage and do jobs that were not thought of to be done by those that are visually impaired. So again, there is an opportunity. There is a gap. The key is getting the resources, the techniques, the training, the knowledge to prepare yourself to engage for employment. And to the extent that we can get more people with visual impairment and any impairment into the private sector, we all benefit. All people benefit. So how do we do these programs? I think what happens, and I think what is very critical, and I think a lot of this experimenting with the Bureau with right now. I think organizations like mine that are traditional staffing firms that match people to jobs have to work in concert, in collaboration with organizations like the Bureau of Services, like the Greater Detroit, and other nonprofit and for-profit organizations that are committed to filling that gap and providing the opportunities of the private sector to see that blindness is not what they think. It's much different. As Margot pointed out, it is a spectrum. And in that spectrum, when you add the right tools and accommodations, you can do not only work as well and as effectively as your cited cohorts, you can exceed them because you do have a superpower. I have a superpower, and that is this thing between my ears, not my nose, my brain. Hope I'm pointing at my brain. So what I'm trying to say in conclusion is that when I first heard about losing my vision, I was, a pre-tween. I was tweener. I was 11 years old, and I was terrified, like Margot suggested. And I did go through that trauma, and I was isolated. But you know what? I woke up and I decided that, you know what? I'm not going to live my life afraid of what's going to happen. If the lights are going to go out by the time I'm 50, I better get about living life, and I better do it in a way that I have a plan for success. This is a message that anyone that's looking for a job, be they a college student transitioning to employment or an individual that in their working years lost their vision, this is the message. These are the steps. I believe that to the extent that government partners with other companies that are closely tied to the private sector, work together, I think we will develop programs that will have better outcomes. That is really the hope that I'm giving everyone today, because I have to tell you, that first presentation made me feel a little sad, but it was helpful because there is an inside game. But when you're ready for the outside game, I have the steps, and there are others like me that have the steps, and I'm happy to share those with any of you at any time. Thank you very much, Priscilla. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Gary.
Okay.
Oh, thank you. Sorry.
I thought I was in the dark.
No. I was trying to unmute myself. You're
I'm
good.
so sorry.
That's okay.
That's funny.
You for that. Thank you. We will be taking questions and answers at the end of the presentations for those of you who are wondering. So we are going to move next to LaWanda Jackson and Fran Dennis from Molina Healthcare to talk about, again, one of those things we mentioned earlier was access to healthcare. And that's a very critical component, particularly of vision. And so Fran and LaWanda are going to talk to us about access to healthcare really via Medicare. So Fran and LaWanda.
All right, LaWanda, I don't know if you wanted to go first or you wanted me to go first.
You can go first. Go first.
All right. So I'm Fran Dennis. I am the market manager for Molina Healthcare in the state of Michigan. And I am so happy to be here with you today and learning lots of different things about not only about the organization, but what some of the folks go through after a vision loss. I've never given that much thought. I know a few folks, but we never got into the things that Margot talked about or that Mr. Gary was talking about. So I'm learning a lot sitting in this presentation. So I thank you for being here. I'm going to just spend the next few minutes giving you a little background on Molina and the different services that we provide and how we go out into the community and help individuals understand something that can be very complex, right? Because Medicare will, as we start going toward that age, I'll say it this way, If I weren't in the business of Medicare, by the time I get there and in just a few short years, it would probably give me heartburn trying to get through all the solicitation and understanding when's the right time for me to take these benefits. But I'll go through that on a very high level presentation here today. So Molina has been in business since 1980. We have over 3 million people that we take care of across the country. We're actually in 17 different states. We started off as a Medicaid organization. And a Medicaid organization is where we are serving the folks who on the lower income spectrum. And that's where most of our concentration has been. Our mission is that we improve the health in the lives of our members by delivering high quality healthcare for them. And we do that in a number of different ways. And then we also want to make sure that when we're doing this, we're doing it with integrity. There are a lot of rules that go into place when salespeople come to talk to you about Medicare and Medicaid as well. So I'll go over some of those also, because a lot of people, I don't think, understand also how heavily we're regulating, making sure that we are delivering the healthcare and making sure that we're not taking advantage of people who may already be underserved. So we are currently in 18 different states across the country. We're growing very aggressively. And we're doing it in 2 different ways. We're doing it with staffing and going out and talking to people and explaining one person at a time what the benefits are that they have, how they qualify for Medicaid, how they qualify for Medicare, and then ask them to be a part of the Molina family. Or we're actually going out and buying up different organizations that have some of the same things that we have as well in terms of the Medicaid population. We are currently in 49 different counties in the state of Michigan, and we will be expanding a little bit in 2023 into a few more of those counties as well. We did change our plans from what we had from 2021 to 2022. We used to just have one healthcare plan, and it was for those folks who were on Medicaid and Medicare. Those folks are called dual eligible, okay? Because you can get Medicare once you've been disabled for 24 months. I know in the state of Michigan, sometimes that is it's a little bit of a challenge for some folks, because when you call into the Medicare Social Security office, a lot of times folks are saying you're not eligible for it, but you are. And so some of our staff here that help people enroll will help you walk through that process as well to make certain that you are going to get the benefits that you are entitled to. The other thing that we do from the sales side of the house is we partner up with our folks like LaWanda, who's over in the community engagement team. These folks go out and team up with organizations such as yourself to give us the opportunity to help service the people in the communities that we are actually targeting, so that we're making certain that we are actually helping. So it's dedicated community engagement specialists. They host and sponsor partnering at local events, assist with getting connected and enrollers and navigators to the providers, and support finding other things that us on the South Side may not find. So they may give you a resource that's in the community that we didn't know that was actually there. So we partner very closely with them to make sure that we're taking care of the person as a whole, not just give them some, the health insurance and then walking off. We make sure that they get taken care of. We also do that through our case managers. So we have case managers when we actually enroll individuals who will do what's called a health risk assessment. Some people kind of shy away from that because they think that we're getting too much into their information, but that's a critical part of what we do. And what we're trying to find out, particularly if you're coming from one health insurance company to another health insurance company, or you're new to Medicare, or you're new to Medicare and Medicaid, we want to find out what kind of services have you been getting currently. So do you have a walker? Do you have something that's special in the house just for you? Are you on oxygen? Is there an issue that you may also have diabetes? And do you have some other complications from the diabetes? We want to get a clear picture of what it is that you're going to need when you come over to the Molina family. And that's why our case managers are involved in getting the person acclimated to how we do business here at Molina. We offer services such as a 24-hour nurse line for people to call in. I know that I have personally used some of those services in the past. I'm not one who wants to call my doctor in the first place, but I always like having the service or the ability of calling a nurse and say, hey, do you think I need to do, before I have to go through seeing the doctor and doing that. So that's one of the other services that we use. Medication. I'm actually one of the individuals that Stephanie was talking about with high blood pressure. So I liked seeing that video as well. And it reminded me of a couple things that I need to do, right? So when I got diagnosed with high blood pressure, what I noticed was there wasn't a lot of information given from the pharmacy about the medication that I was on. But what we do at Molina for the plans that we have is we have medication management. So the case manager is also going to help you if you're taking lots of different types of medicine. And I mentioned high blood pressure because you now have to look and see if you're taking cold medicine, it may be affecting what you're taking. So we have someone to manage and help you get through that as well. Nutrition is another service that we offer for folks, and that takes us to 2022 benefits that we actually offer. So the two plans we have for folks who are on Medicare and Medicaid, there is a food card that comes along with that. And so after you fill out the health risk assessment, they're going to determine if you have one of the chronic illnesses that qualify you for a food card, because we do have some folks who may be food insecure. So we're trying to make certain that we have some of those benefits out there for those folks. So the case manager is going to help you get along with that or get signed up for that, make sure that you get your card turned on and make sure that you have the services that you need for that. Okay. One of the things that helps you qualify for Medicare and Medicaid, right? Beneficiaries who enroll in both Medicare and Medicaid, this is a vulnerable group, right? So they can be under 65 or they can be over 65. Again, that's going to depend on if you have a disability or not. They have a greater need for more support. Self-referring population for the mental and physical disabilities. That's another area that you get into when you're enrolling in for Medicaid. The other part of that is in the state of Michigan, if you live in Wayne or Macomb counties, there's other initiatives that go on, and it's for a program for MMP. And so some folks will be pulled into that as well. Again, that's more of a case management that they're trying to make sure that they have all the treatment in getting into the correct plan that they need to be in. The other thing, the two plans that I wanted to bring up, so there are different levels of Medicaid. So there are full Medicaid, and then there are partial Medicaid. And this is a determination by the state. We at Molina just follow suit. And then we get into alphabet soup with who is Medicaid and what level you are. So if you're full Medicaid, you may hear somebody say this individual is Quimby Plus. So that's, again, it's an acronym that the state is using. If someone is partial Medicaid, then you'll hear them say something like SlimB, okay? And so these are folks that are at a slightly higher income level as opposed to the ones that are on full Medicaid. Being sensitive to that, we at Molina have designed two different types of healthcare coverage for those. So if you're a full Medicaid person, you're not going to have any cost sharing. So there's no co-pays, there's no premium that you pay for any of our benefits, actually. So there's no premiums, there's no cost when you're going to the doctor, there's no cost when you're going to the specialist or in the hospital. So full Medicaid, there's no cost share that you would have with the health plan coverage that we have. Now, if we go over to our partial Medicaid, there is some cost sharing because, again, they're at a little higher level of income. And so they do have some cost share. So it may cost them maybe like $20 to go see a specialist, but nothing to go see their primary care doctor. And then we also have, in our partial Medicaid, we add things like there's Papa Care. What Papa Care is they can have somebody for at least 10 hours a month to help come in and do small things in the house. I know Priscilla was talking about technology and learning new technology. Under this plan, they can have somebody come in and actually teach some of the technology that they might want to see or want to learn at that particular time. The other part that we have is just straight Medicare, right? So we have a plan for those people who do not qualify for Medicaid, means they're above the federal poverty level, and so they're not qualifying for that, but they either have gotten their Medicare Part A or Part B as a result of either working 40 hours or 10 years, or because they have a disability for 24 months or longer. And so there is a plan for that. Now, because these individuals have a higher income level, there is going to be some cost sharing that they do, but we still give them some added benefits to their coverage as well. In this particular plan, we are targeting for the diabetes. So if someone is in this plan and they have diabetes, or they're diabetic, I should say, that is a very high cost for prescription drugs. The government, and I'm going to try to explain this without going too far, because this is where it gets a little confusing. So those who are used to Medicare are probably used to the term donut hole. The donut hole is an amount of money that an individual is spending for medication that they reach at a certain point of the year, because they probably have a lot of medication that they're actually taking. Once that individual meets that donut hole or the gap on this particular plan that we have, we will give them, they'll only pay a copay of $35 for their insulin, because now we know that they have a higher out-of-pocket cost, or $70 for a 90-day supply of their insulin. So we're trying to make certain that we are taking care of the individuals as much as we possibly can, wherever wherever an individual may fall. Some of the other things that we've added is we now have what's called a flex card. So a flex card, and this is on all of our benefits. So remember I said our individuals on any of our plans will get a food card. If they qualify for, they'll get a food card. They can also, they'll have dental on all of our plans. They have vision coverage on all of our plans. They also have what's called, we call them special supplemental benefits for the chronically ill. And that's where, let's say that someone has a companion pet. Having a pet is also very expensive, right? For the food and the collar and the dishes and the different things that take care of the pet. We have built into our benefits to give you an allowance to help offset some of that cost. The other thing is we're now into, I'm assuming that we've heard of the different meditations or different calm apps that you can get on your phones now to help you soothe yourself, because I think also one of the things that the pandemic did is revealed a lot of anxiety amongst folks, right? So you can get one of those apps, and on our benefits, we'll pay for that application for you if you get that application either on your phone or on your iPad. The other thing is we have a benefit called PERS. PERS is simply, let's say that we have someone who, and I do this on a very high level, and I say it's the fallen and I can't get up. We've all heard that commercial. This one goes a little further than that. So let's say that we have a senior who is on our plan, and let's say now we're dealing with dementia and perhaps they've gotten out of the house. This can be a device that they can either wear on their wrist or around their neck. And then it has a GPS that is associated with it. So now we can go find our loved one if they're out roaming somewhere. So I think we've done a very good job of going in and making certain that the people who are on the either Medicare alone or Medicare and Medicaid, which is again, those are called dual eligibles, designing plans that would take care of their needs, and then adding extra benefits to take care of some of that extra stress that you may have that for items that are typically not going to be covered under your healthcare coverage. Now, I think I went through that rather quickly, and it was a very high level explanation of what we do here at Molina, but I thank you for your time. I hope that made sense. And if you had any questions, or if I can be of any service after this, I will get with LaWanda. We can give my contact information out, and I'd be more than happy to help in any way that I possibly can. Thank you very much. And I think this is going back to Miss Stephanie now.
Sorry, unmuting again. LaWanda, did you have anything to add to that, LaWanda? Or you all wrapped up?
You know what? I'll just add a quick blurb. I'm LaWanda Jackson. I am the community engagement representative for Molina Healthcare. I cover Wayne, Oakland, Macomb, and a few other counties. And we are looking to collaborate with community organizations just to give information about Molina and what we offer. If it's in the Medicaid world, I can be there. And if not, Fran can get someone for the Medicare. So we are looking to partner with community-based organizations to help give them information about Molina and what type of benefits we offer and how to navigate the My Bridges. We're available to do that type of training with organizations so that they can help their consumers navigate the system as well. So that's all I have, and my information will be in the chat, and I've answered some questions already in the chat, but if you have any questions, I'll have my information available.
Thank you, LaWanda and Fran. And just to kind of circle back on a couple of things, want to make you all aware that open enrollment for Medicare is October 15th through December 7th. We are looking at providing either appointments in the office during that time, again, collaborating with a partner like Molina, finding a way to make this accessible to individuals. So that is something that will be on the calendar starting in October and running through December so that people can get some more individualized help and have their questions answered during that critical open enrollment period. Also wanted to circle back a little bit to Priscilla and her training classes. We had a question in the chat. Someone was asking whether or not we'll still be coming out to provide in-home services, and we will. But one of the conversations that we've had and some feedback from community has to do with kind of delivery of services. And we are in a pandemic era still. And so we are prepared to flex. What we don't want to do is to cease services. And we have continued to provide services on a limited basis throughout the pandemic, but we are, expanding that so that a lot of time we've described it kind of as when you go to your doctor every year, everybody has to have an annual physical, right? You go in and you get all the things done once a year. And then if you have a cold later on, or if there's a broken arm, or if there's some other question, you go back for individual services to your physician. So in setting up our classes and our courses, what we're looking at is the fact that very often people may not realize what level of services they may need, what level of assistance they may need. Priscilla's, the visual rehabilitation therapy goes through a really wide variety of everyday activity, dailies of activity living. And I think sometimes that people may not realize they need all of those services, so they may only request one. And she's done a great job of really setting this up as a in-depth 12-week course. And so we will still be providing some in-person services as well as the virtual services. To Gary's point, the world is becoming very digitized. And so we want to be able to bring people along and bring people up to speed in technology, kind of meet you where you are in terms of what your technical needs are, and then take you along that technological path so you can jump in on a Zoom call with comfort. But so that you can also recognize your clothes by texture, recognize your currency, use the magnifier, all of those other services that you need. So there's a couple of different service delivery options that we're looking at right now, and that'll be based on an assessment that will be conducted with Priscilla, and deciding how best to meet the needs and meet you where you are. And then we'll determine whether it should be an in-person or it can be virtual. So we're being flexible right now in the way that we deliver services, because we also want to be responsive to the current public health. The numbers are going up right now. They may go back down next month. So we're just trying to be flexible and make sure that we can serve people as best as possible. So one of the next things we want to do is we wanted to share the new website for the organization, because there will be many of our services will be able to be accessed and registered for via the website. So let me share this. So we will be transferring our GDABVI.org website to this new domain, which is Life Beyond Sight, SIGHT, lifebeyondsight.org. And this is the new website, and we have tried to structure it so that it is very accessible to everyone who needs to use it. We have a new accessibility mode in the corner that will both read the screen and enlarge text as well, and provide some other accessibility modes. And another one of the things that we want to do through the website is to really enhance the communication that we're providing to the community right now. So, we're launching a newsletter, and we encourage people to either sign up through the website, which is tabbable through all of the forms on the website, or you can call into the office to sign up if you'd like the newsletter, because there will be an audio version of the newsletter produced in as well as the printed version of the website. And through the website, you will be able to make appointments for the services that Priscilla has talked about. There is a booking link, and there is a page where you can actually, so all of those dates that she mentioned, I don't know if people were trying to quickly write those down, but all of those dates are actually here on the website. You can go in and you can find out what keyboarding for beginners actually involves. You can see the dates of all of the classes. You can look at one 12-week session, or if the current 12-week session doesn't work for you, you can look at the next 12-week session and register for that. In each of the, excuse me, in each of the classes that you sign up for, you will be contacted by Priscilla or by another staff member. After you've signed up, we want to make sure that you have any prerequisites that you might need for the class. For keyboarding, we'll be providing some initial startup materials for everyone so that they can follow along in that virtual format. So there are some things you're going to need to do to prepare your keyboard in order to learn. So there will be conversations that happen with individuals after they sign up for classes. And again, that's the technology training, whether it's the keyboarding for beginners, whether it's the intermediate or advanced, the iPhone training. And we are also going to pilot a Zoom class at the end of June. Right now, we've just scheduled one for June 28th. It's a 3-hour class. We're partnering with the Carroll Center to do that. And so there are some prerequisites for that as well. You need to have things like an email, a Zoom account. You need to have JAWS on your computer, those types of things. But again, for each of the classes that you sign up with, whether it's activities of daily living, which takes place in four-week segments, yes, 1-month segments. And these are interchangeable. So you can take segment 2 before you've taken segment 1. If you come in after segment 1, you can go ahead and jump into segment 2 or jump into segment 3 and then go back and take segment 1 later. And again, you'll be contacted by Priscilla or another staff person to make sure you have what you need to be able to get the most out of each of these sessions. So all of that is accessible through the website or by calling the main office. I know that there are probably about 25 or 30 people on the call tonight who actually used our RSVP number tonight, and we appreciate that. We're getting the bugs out of our systems, so we appreciate all of the phone calls and those that we texted and those that we registered ourselves. So we're looking to do more of that to be helpful to people so that they can participate in all of the programs that we're offering. We are finding right now that about 40% of the calls to the agency are actually dealing with housing, food, medical care, some very, very basic needs types of services. So on another note, we are also hiring at the agency, and one of the new positions that we are looking at is an intake manager, a client services navigator who will be able to walk people through things like Medicare forms or Medicaid forms or forms for doctor's offices or signing up for food stamps or physicians, those types of things. So that position, we're currently hiring for that position. We're currently hiring for an orientation and mobility specialist so that they can provide that service in the office as well. And we will be hiring for another vision rehabilitation therapist in the near future as well to give Priscilla some help, because we want to be able to help as many people as possible. And again, in terms of the services, just a reminder to people of our service area. We do service 7 counties. So we do welcome inquiries from throughout our 7-county area. We want people to feel comfortable. Even though we are located in Detroit, we are serving all 7 counties. Priscilla mentioned that you need to be a client in order to take advantage of services at the agency. And so we have hopefully made this a little more convenient, because we do get quite a few inquiries through email, and we are now able to route people to the website where you can actually fill out the intake packet online. This is accessible. The form can be clicked through using if you use Narrator on your computer, kinds of things. So it is compatible with those services. If someone else is, filling this out on behalf of another individual, once this gets submitted, it is downloaded into a secure portal on our network, so that everyone's privacy is maintained through all of these documents. We also have consent forms, so you don't actually have to wait until you come into the office to begin the process of becoming a client for the agency. You can actually get a head start and fill out the paperwork ahead of time. There is one document that you would need to take to your eye care specialist and have completed, but we can get you started before that. So again, you don't have to wait until your appointment time to come in and get that process started. We've also provided a listing on the website of some basic needs resources for those who may want to come to the website. We have clothing, food, shelter, home health care, mental health services, and job training programs that are also listed on the website for those who may be in need of those particular services or may want to help someone else find some of the basic needs services. They're all listed here on the website. We also have on the website a listing of what we provide at the agency. That's the vision rehabilitation therapy, orientation and mobility, the activities of daily living, and the technology training are all listed on the website as well for additional information. We have vision facts on the website. We have support information. We have support groups. We have 2 support groups listed on the website for more information. We have the agency's website, Helping Hands, which is volunteer-led and will be staffed by an agency employee. That will be the new client services navigator who will staff the support group. We are also working on a partnership and collaboration to add a new element to Helping Hands, and we'll be announcing that probably in another week or so. And they will be reconvening in June. Intervision 313 is a community adult group that is currently meeting virtually, and they are meeting every Friday at 10:30. So the phone number here is listed for Michael Ginyard for those who are interested in participating in that support group. Bingo nights will be returning. Right now, we're looking at that returning on June 3rd. That will be taking place the first Friday of every month. So that's back. And there's a phone number here listed as well for those who might want to participate in bingo night. We have a movie night planned for the summer. So we'll be sending out additional information about turning the agency parking lot into an old-fashioned drive-in movie theater for audio descriptive movie. We'll keep you posted on that. And then open mic night is returning to the agency on the third Saturday of every month, beginning June 18th. So we'll have all of the information, our dates, our upcoming activities listed within the website. Tonight we had our launch. Next month, we are going to welcome Dr. Jennifer Wong in a conversation about low vision. And so that will take place via Zoom and via Facebook Live, so that if you're not able to join in during the actual conversation, you can pick it up later in these other places. In June, we have several things going on, including a new relationship with the Rosedale Park Farmers Market. So we're going to be having field trips to the farmers market on the second and fourth Thursdays from June until October. So we're encouraging folks to come on over to the agency, and then we'll take a field trip over to the farmers market on those 2 Thursdays during the month. On June 25th, you are all invited to our planting party at the agency. We're going to restore the sensory garden. So we're welcoming all hands on deck. There's more information and you can sign up through the website or by calling the agency for that activity. So we have a few things going on right now. Everybody is welcome to come out and participate in the activities. To Gary's point, to Margot's point, to Priscilla's point, the training, the rehabilitation continues. I want to thank the support individuals who are heading up the support groups, Selena and Michael and Waletta with the bingo night and the support groups and the open mic. I want to thank those volunteers who have stepped back up to lead those activities and encourage everyone to participate. And I think, let's see, we've got volunteer information on the website as well. For those who are interested in volunteering at the agency, we will keep a list of volunteer opportunities and we are welcoming those. And by appointment, we will be in the office. We're still working in a hybrid environment right now. The building is undergoing some repairs and some updates. So we ask that if people want to stop by the office, if you want to have a conversation, if you need an assessment, we ask that you call the agency and make an appointment so that we can be there. Again, we're not there all the time because of the building rehab that's going on right now, but we are happy to serve you. We just need a heads up on the time. And I think that is my quick tour of the website. Again, it's lifebeyondsite.org. We have our communication methods in here. You can book appointments for services, you can volunteer, you can donate, you can learn about our COVID protocols, which we are following very stringently right now. We are asking people to mask when in the building, and we're still social distancing. Keeping up with our calendar or any other questions, if you want to reach out to the organization, we also have client feedback on the website. So if you have received a service and you want to let us know how that service was for you, you can go on the website, let us know how things are working for you, or you can send us a message, as many people do. We get many messages every day. If you want to email us, if you have a question, feel free to email or call. We are open, as Priscilla said, to your ideas, to your feedback. We are being flexible in this new environment as we move ahead. We're really excited about all of the things that we want to provide. May will be primarily a sign-up month so that we can roll everything out in June. So if you have questions, you want to sign up, you want to check your calendars, May is going to be the time to do that so that we can all hit the ground running and get signed up for everything in June. We're going to go ahead and wrap up and give people the rest of their evening back. But if you have any additional questions, again, you can feel free to contact us through the website. You can call the agency. We are excited. We appreciate the really strong showing of support that we've been receiving from the community the past few months. We are excited that, more than 80 people registered to join us tonight. And so again, we appreciate all of you being here, taking time out of your evening, and we are looking forward to working with you in the coming months. Thank you.